So welcome to Why Diversity in Cybersecurity Matters and how SentinelOne is bridging that gap. My name is Christina Parra. I'm an enterprise account executive for SentinelOne, and I serve the Pacific Northwest. So to kick us off on this topic, I'd like to share a little bit about myself. I am a first-generation Latina. I was the first in my family to graduate high school and the first to attend college, and we're here at my alma mater today. Go Ducks! So it's super cool to be here. It's a little surreal to come full circle, right? So when I reflect back on my time here, I spent a lot of time with my advisor playing the majors game because since I didn't have anyone in my circle that had gone to college and then had a professional career, I just constantly asked my advisor, but if I do that major, what job will I have? And if I get that, if I study that, what job will I have, right? And we kind of went back and forth. Ultimately, we selected a major, graduated, went on to do nonprofit work. I wanted to, save the world, save the children. Things happen in life. And then I ended up at a small little company called Symantec. Maybe you guys have heard of them. I actually started there as a temp, as their bilingual customer retention specialist working on the Norton line. I was still in training when I kept saying, what is Norton? What am I doing here? What is Symantec? It was very early. This is 2013. I had no idea, right? Like I had my first laptop in college, very new to tech. So that is kind of what granted me the opportunity to join this world of cybersecurity, right? If this was back in 2008, when I was a freshman here at U of O, never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined that I could be a professional in cybersecurity today. So that's where I want to take us a little bit into the numbers. So throughout my career, I am used to being either the only woman in the room or the only person of color in the room. And started right as a temp, and I've evolved into now an enterprise role. And so I've done a couple different segments throughout my career, different parts of the business, sitting in rooms with executives, right? Today I'm targeting CISOs. I want to sit down with CISOs. Most of the time those are white men, right? When I meet a woman CISO, I want her to be my best friend and I want us to go hang out because it's incredible. So these are the numbers, right? And so as I've studied some of this to share with you all today and some of the stuff I've been doing for Hispanic Heritage Month at SentinelOne, I realized that it's not just in my bubble. It's international, right? It's across the board that we're lacking women and that we're lacking people of color in this industry. So you'll see the numbers where I call out the percentages of women, Black, and Hispanic people in cybersecurity. Does anyone want to take a guess at what the numbers are off to the side that I'm not labeling? What are those numbers? What's the 51%, the 14%, the 19%? Oh, it's, no, close, another guess. Very close. So it's actually today's US population. So while women make up a little over half of the US population today, we're still only 24% of cybersecurity professionals. And then same for kind of the rest, right? So 14 people identify as Black, US Census, as of last night that I checked, 9% of cybersecurity professionals, 19%, and then 4% for Hispanics, right? And so the numbers are staggering. We gotta fill these. And then, as of last night, we have over 700,000 job openings in cybersecurity in the US alone today. And so this is a problem for all of us, whether we care about diversity or not, because what's happening today in the world, right? Modern warfare, everything is online. We need to fill these jobs. We need people in the seats, and gentlemen in the white shirt, those guys can't help us fill all the jobs anymore because there's more of us, there's more women, and there's more people of color. So we need to help fill those roles for the greater good of all of us. And so again, why does that matter, right? So some of the stats show diverse teams avoid more errors. So a good example is one of the first facial recognition programs that was launched. right? You guys maybe have heard this. It had problems recognizing women and people with darker skin tones. How could we have maybe avoided that? Maybe if there were more women in that test group, and maybe if there were more people of color in that test group, it would have been a little bit more successful, right? Our industry experts need to reflect our population more, right? We care about that in politics and who serves our city, things like that. It matters here too. Bringing different perspectives, right? So one of my colleagues, Drea, is gonna do an awesome talk a little bit later about IR specifically. And because we're specifically talking about cybersecurity, why do we care about having diversity in things like incident response or solutions that are protecting our infrastructure? Because attacks are coming from everywhere in the world, right? The hackers aren't just white men. It's not just 72% of white men that are in our cybersecurity as professionals today. The attack vectors are gonna come from all over the world. The diversity brings the different perspectives to help us better assist and protect our infrastructures. Diverse companies have less turnover. That one was a cool one to read. I read that tech companies are spending about $16 million a year in turnover, and a lot of that is a lot of employees cite stereotypes at work, harassment at work. The more diversity that we have within our companies where we can cater to the different people that we're serving, the more people will feel welcome and the more people will stay. And then again, closing that employment gap. Cool quote that I read on this. The way that we needed women to fill male roles during World War II, we're there again. We're there now. We need women to step up and, well, not step up, that's probably the wrong word. We're working on it, but we need more women and we need more people of color to fill those stereotypical male roles. So talked a little bit about some of the gaps, right? So the pipeline problem, this one was interesting specifically because we're at a U of O at a university today. What we're finding is that there are actually more students studying computer science and engineering programs, but then we're still lacking in the jobs. So there's a gap there. And so they're calling this the pipeline problem. And so it seems like we're missing students either during their studies or maybe after when they complete their studies and they're not making it to those jobs. So that's one problem. Cultural biases and systemic racism, just kind of a blunt one, but a nice kind of stat in there is that VCs traditionally invest into companies that represent themselves, right? Which means that 1% of Black startups are getting investments and 6% of women startups are getting investments as well. So just to kind of throw that in there. And then interview panels. So less diversity there, right? So if I'm a candidate and I'm interviewing and I don't see anyone that represents me on this panel, do I want to go there? Is this a company that's going to serve me? Those are some of the gaps. So what can we do, right? We're here today. This is a big step. Putting workshops like this together matter. Educating ourselves, right? Reading, even myself. I'm a Latina woman in this industry. I am learning as I'm going through this, that it isn't just in my bubble. It's across the board and that we need to reach, right? And whether that means taking time out of our day to just have conversations. Again, cybersecurity as a whole, I think is still kind of a foreign or maybe unattainable industry where people don't know that there might be a job for you, whether it's a business development rep, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in support, IR work, sales. We need all sorts of roles and all sorts of people can help fill those. And then Me Recruits Where They Are goes a little bit back to that pipeline problem, right? So we need to be able to come to those students that are in those majors because there's obviously some interest there. So let's come find them and let's talk to them about what that future could look like for them. Ultimately, I work for SentinelOne and that's why I get to be here today. So I want to highlight some of the cool things that we're doing at SentinelOne. And while we're not doing everything perfect and while there's a big gap, this is one of the proudest companies that I've had the fortune to work for because of some of the really cool things that we're doing. So we have an entire group dedicated to diversity and inclusion at SentinelOne. And so we've actually launched 2 inclusion networks, our first one being out at SentinelOne. And then this month, being Hispanic Heritage Month, which is September 15th to October 15th, we launched Latinos at SentinelOne. And so in addition to that, we've also been celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month at SentinelOne with a few different things. We did a panel a few weeks ago where Latinos that work for SentinelOne were able to share a day in the life of a Latino in cybersecurity. What does that look like? How did you land your first tech job? You know, how has working through the corporate ladder been for you? Things like that. Internship programs. We started our internship programs this year. I think we had 20 interns worldwide, some from U of O. We actually had an intern on our panel, a Latino intern. He's in New York, but he interned with us, got extended, and now he's working part-time for us. And so the internship program is huge. We hope to continue to expand that. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We actually are doing cybersecurity school ambassadors, where our team has built content for parents to be able to go into their kids' schools. I think there's 2 different versions. It's like a K through like 2nd, and then like a 3rd to 5th, something like that, and tailoring the content to those kids, right? And talking about safety online. And so that's a big initiative that we've been doing this month. And then family leave. So this year, we not only do we have maternity leave, we also have paternity leave, and we even extend leave to grandparents. So again, we're not perfect. There's so much to do, but these are some of the things that SentinelOne is doing today to help bridge that gap. And I just wanted to be able to share that with you all today. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys.